right. Hello and welcome to episode 79 of the Rhody podcast. Today, I'm joined by the newest Rhody women's basketball guard, Teisha Hyman. Joins me today. She's a graduate transfer from Syracuse University. Teisha, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Again, I appreciate your willingness to speak with me so quickly. We're recording this the day after you announced your commitment to Rhode Island, but I'll start off with the big question, which is why URI? What went into that decision?
Um, I mean, there's many things. So I prayed about it. I really did pray about it, and I think God made it clear. But also, Coach Reiss, we just had a good relationship, and I trust her, so it's kind of easy.
Yeah, for sure. And Coach Reiss recruited you, I believe, when you were in high school, or she was trying to actively recruit you. I'm curious what it was about her that you just loved so much. Was it her coaching style, just the kind of person that she is? What is it about Coach Reiss that made you want to come here in this next season?
It was her coach. What I'll say, it was her person, like who she is as a person, and she was very attentive and consistent, and she supported me in a lot. She made sure that she expressed and showed that she saw me as a player and a person. So she came to high school games, high school practices. She was very involved. So I took that, and it always stuck with me to this day.
Would you say when she was trying to pitch you to the program and trying to get you to come next season, you felt like there was really a place or you were comfortable and that you would have a role next season? I find that often when I talk to certain players that are being recruited or in the transfer portal, they often say that, they felt like they had a spot or they felt like that there's a role that they have to fulfill. Did you feel the same thing in your conversations with this coaching staff?
It was more so she was making me feel supported and comfortable. Coming from Q's, she was just making sure that she explained at Rhode Island I would have a place of comfort, but also a place of where I'll be able to get better with my basketball skills. So that played a major part. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you saw an opportunity to develop over the next season, get better and improve. And I think around being around a winning program, I don't know if you've kept up with this program the last couple of years, but Coach Reiss has really turned it around and we've started to win a lot more games. Obviously, this past year, A10 regular season champions. So every year we're getting a little bit closer to that end goal of making the NCAA tournament. And now for you to have the opportunity to join something like that, how does it feel knowing, the recent history?
I'm just happy I'm able to join success. Like the foundation's there already. So I'm just hoping to build onto it and add on to it. I mean, we're going to the NCAA this year, so you can count on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to backtrack a little bit just so Rhody fans can learn a little bit about, your history, a little bit about your background at Syracuse. When you initially entered the portal, just one question. ESPNW ranked you as the 33rd best women's basketball transfer. With that being said, were there a lot of offers on the table?
Yeah, I had some offers. I had some offers.
And with so many offers and a lot of schools calling your name, again, you obviously chose URI. I can imagine that was a difficult or overwhelming decision, to figure out where you'd play in your final year of eligibility. Did you feel like it was a stressful process, or you kind of alluded to it? Did Coach Reiss kind of ease you through that and it was less stressful for you?
It was definitely stressful. I have the fear sometimes of making the wrong decisions, but like I said, I prayed about it, and I feel like God just gave me the clearest sign to go to Rhode Island. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that went on, but I feel like Rhode Island is where I need to be.
Yeah, for sure. You had that gut feeling, something kind of telling you inside that you have to be in Kingston next season. It's kind of like when you know. So I definitely understand what you're saying. Like I said, I want to backtrack a little bit just so Rhody fans who may be watching this at home can learn a little bit more about you. A question that I love to start with is just what is your why or what motivates you?
Man, it changes. If I'm being honest, my why started out as just for fun. And then it changed to, I want to go to the league. And then it changed to, a lot of people look up to you and they hear your story, and it's like you're fighting just by you being you and successful, you're helping somebody else out. So I think
Right.
it's a combination of all of it. Yeah, it's a combination of all of it.
Yeah, and you certainly have an interesting story, from your freshman year at Syracuse to now, obviously how you've grown as a person on and off the court. And I have a few upcoming questions just about each of those seasons. But first, I
Mhm.
want to start with, again, a little bit of your background. You're originally from White Plains, New York. I'm curious how you realized you were passionate, about the game of basketball. Did you have someone who pushed you to improve that kind of got you, into this sport or into this world, or how did that love for the sport evolve over time?
At the age of 3, I picked up a tennis ball and I was dribbling around the house, and my dad and my grandpa, they said, she's she's better than average dribbling this tennis ball, so let's get her into stuff. So I just started playing I9, which is a youth league, and then I found myself being fulfilled with all my free time would be in basketball. And my grandpa was very instrumental. Um, he'd be outside with me all day, just either whether it be dribbling, rebounding for me, taking me to games, or just being around basketball. So he was there for anything. He can't play. He is terrible. But just the supporting factor kind of pushed me through. And once I found out I was passionate, it was just when I started working out like 3 times a day, just because I loved it that much. And that was probably, I'll say, middle school.
Mm.
So once my time was fulfilled with just all basketball, I really knew I was passionate about it. And I
Yeah,
used to
when you
carry
love,
around,
go ahead.
I used to carry around the ball everywhere, like everywhere. I would carry it around and just dribble.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was gonna say when you love something so much, it's hard to just walk away from it that easily. But yeah, that's a good point. I think another thing you said is just having the family around you, supporting you through all of it. When you're so young, you're just kind of figuring out what you want to do, or you kind of say what you want to do when you grow up. But for you to kind of turn it into a reality and take that to obviously the high school collegiate level and hopefully so on at the professional level, it's definitely inspiring to, I'm sure, a lot of up and coming players. I'm curious, when you were growing up, did you have a favorite player or team, and did you try and model yourself after that player?
Derrick Rose. That's
Okay.
I mean, I love Derrick Rose game. He's a quiet assassin. He handles his business, doesn't talk much, and that's how I like to do. He's very acrobatic at the rim. When I was younger, I used to try to model that after him. He went through the same injuries as me, some of them. So I kind of connect with him on a personal level just by his story and just his demeanor. I respect him as a person and as a player. And I actually met him too. I got to meet him. So that
Oh,
was
that's
really
awesome.
cool.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm from Long Island, New York originally, but I'm a Knicks fan, so I love Derrick Rose and what he's, I mean, he doesn't play often that much anymore, but his story, like you said, just his upbringings and obviously what he did in the 2009 season as a rookie with the Bulls, taking that, obviously battling through some of those injuries, and obviously he's still in the league all these years later. He's still playing, so it's pretty cool to say that. Would you say that you still model your game after some of the things that you do on the court, some of the moves you make, you still model him?
Yeah. So actually what a lot of, I never told this to anybody. He made me want to develop a mid-range game, actually, because
Hmm.
when he got injured, he kind of he's not as explosive as he once was. So he really concentrated on his pull-up game and kind of simplifying his game. And I don't know, I just like that man as a player. So
Yeah.
yeah, try to get
Yeah.
the pressure off of your knees. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did you end up meeting him?
Here at Syracuse, my coach actually, my former coach at Syracuse actually helped me meet him.
That's pretty cool.
We
It's
went to a Knicks game.
okay. It's not very often you just meet your role model like that, or you're just able to kind of talk to someone, have that conversation, and them kind of teach you a little bit of what they're doing currently, some of their work. But for you to have that experience, I can't imagine what that was like.
Yeah, I was ecstatic. I was ecstatic.
So, following high school, you committed to Syracuse. What went into that initial decision?
Coach Reiss, literally, just I trusted her, and the relationship we built, it just made me want to play for somebody like her, and I felt like I was in good hands. So she's the reason why I'm at Syracuse, really. Why I was at Syracuse.
And when you realized that she would be going to the University of Rhode Island, did you think at all that you wanted to kind of switch it up? And did you ever think about going to URI, or did you want to stick through it and try and play at the ACC level with Syracuse?
I thought about it. I did think about it, but I don't know. I'll tell you this: I'm not really used to moving around, so
Mhm.
kind of like once I'm committed, I'm there until I can't be there anymore.
Sure.
Mhm.
That's interesting you say that too, because I feel like the term committed nowadays, especially in college basketball, is you can take that so many different ways because people will say committed, but the next year they're in the transfer portal. And obviously, some athletes are transferring for the right reasons, and some are looking for the best options out there. But it's really such an interesting saying or term now, committed or all in, because, you know, you think are some of them really committed to the system or the program? And I feel like hearing that, I admire you more that you stuck with Syracuse and you stuck with the system and the program that they were building there. But obviously now, you have your last chance or last year of eligibility, and you want to kind of come full circle and go back to Coach Reiss, who kind of started it all for you. So I kind of admired that, you wanted to kind of see how things played out at Syracuse.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes. So in your freshman year, you alluded to it before with the injuries, but you appeared in 23 games, averaged 21 minutes before season-ending injury. Can you just share, how that injury affected you mentally and physically, and just what you've learned from that experience now reflecting on it?
Yeah, so that was my second ACL tear. So I was better mentally prepared. And I took that injury as a learning experience. I got to see the game from a different perspective. I'm used to just playing all the time, but in high school, yeah, I studied the game. But when you can't play and when it's taken away from you, it's different from studying and being forced to sit out. So I try to just look at all different perspectives. Kind of take a coaching stance on it. You get to see what's working, what doesn't, maybe what adjustments you can do, and kind of just challenge yourself as if I were playing, what would I do? Would it work? Would it not? And also just during that time it was chaotic. So I just use that as a mental year too, just to, fine tune my mental.
So you were telling me a little bit about your freshman year at Syracuse and the injury that you had. I'm wondering if the following season you took a medical redshirt year. I was wondering, did that at all help you, just being away from the game of basketball? Did that help you just kind of get through that?
Yeah. My saying is sometimes you have to miss the game to appreciate it. So not being able to play for a year, it kind of just gave me a different type of hunger to get back out there next season.
Yeah, for sure. And, obviously you talk about the next season. That's my next question, the 2021-22 season. You were arguably the best player, in the program at the time, leading the team in scoring in 16.2 points per game, rebound 6.1, 3.9 assists, and 2.5 steals, leading in all of those categories on Syracuse. You also recorded the fifth triple-double in program history, with 27 points, 15 assists, and a program record of 11 steals against Central Connecticut. When you reflect on the injury and then coming out the following season when you're again playing on the court and getting minutes, what made that season so special for you?
I think it's just because I wasn't able to play last season. I kind of just missed the game, and I understood. I just kind of understood what it what it was to play on the court. So I think just being away from it kind of just made me want to play more.
And did you think that when you weren't playing at all, you kind of had that bottled up inside. You kind of had a chip on your shoulder of something to prove almost. And finally, when you're able to hit the court, you just explode and all of those stats come to fruition.
For sure. It's like playing like 3/4 of your freshman year, and then the the next time you play is your junior year. That was a huge gap for me. So in my mind, I felt like I was running out of time. You know, so yeah, I just played with a chip on my shoulder, like I had no more time left.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but was COVID also happening during that time?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I can imagine how that must have been as well with no fans and social distancing. I mean, that season was tough on everyone to begin with. So for you to come back and like you said, hit the court for the first time and put up the numbers that you did and perform the way you did, I can imagine that definitely feeling rewarding, like something paid off.
for sure, for sure.
And then that takes us to this past season. You averaged 10.4, 4 rebounds, 3.2 assists, and shot nearly 40% from the field. Can you just talk about this past season, what worked for you, what you liked about just playing on the team and, just what overall worked for you, what you learned?
Um, what worked for me this year was really my mid-range game. I think that's a forgotten about aspect of the game that a lot of people overlook. And I feel like if I can master that, I stand out, and it would kind of just help my stock. I also learned a lot. Man, I learned not to dim your light for nobody. Um, I learned sometimes being the best teammate means being the best version of yourself, and just stay true to yourself. Stay true to yourself is my biggest lesson I learned from this year.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure you definitely, played a big role in I obviously didn't keep up with Syracuse's team this year, but you played a big role being one of the veterans and being more experienced. And, there are a lot of underclassmen, freshmen, sophomore, I'm sure, on the team or just players that were first entering the program for the first time that were just getting their first taste of basketball at this level. And they definitely looked at you, as a mentor, someone they can lean on. So I'm sure that definitely taught you a lot about yourself, on and off the court.
Right. Yeah. I'll say this. I'll definitely learn from the newer, what is it called? The newer group that, you know, somebody's always watching you, and just continue to be a leader when nobody's watching. And well, when you think nobody's watching. But they definitely taught me somebody's always watching, and they kind of remind me of who I am as a person, like the good qualities on and off the court. So I appreciated that about them.
Yeah, and I'm sure when you were an underclassman as well as a freshman, I know that season was definitely tough on you, only being able to play 3/4 of it. But you had, upperclassmen or seniors that you could lean on as well. So for it to kind of come full circle, I'm sure again it was rewarding for you to kind of pay it forward. And I think, that's something you'll definitely bring with you to Rhode Island as a fifth year this next year.
Exactly. I agree.
So moving on to Rhode Island, just a few more questions here. Have you had the chance to visit campus yet? And have you been to Rhode Island at all?
No, I go next week. I actually go for the first time next week.
Okay. And when you visit or meet with the program, what are you most excited about seeing? Are you excited to meet some of the players, to catch up with Coach Reiss and his coaching staff? And I'm sure you'll definitely get the opportunity to check out some of the facilities on campus as well.
I think it's a combination of both. But one thing I'm looking forward to, because I'm big in nature. It's they they say it's on the water.
Oh yeah.
So I'm thrilled to see that. I just love nature, and I love the water. I want my future house to be on the water. So I'm excited for that aspect. But other than that aspect, I'm just excited to, reconnect with Coach Reiss and meet the team. Just a new start.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said earlier on in the interview that, you didn't know if you were ready for change. Does this feel different at all? I mean, obviously it is different, but did this feel like, you're finally ready to kind of take the next step and to kind of, sometimes change is good. Did it feel different? Did it feel like it was the right time?
Oh, Definitely. Um, yeah. After the season, I knew it was time for change, and I mean, it's changes. If you follow my career, I really never left anywhere. I kind of just stuck through it and made whatever work. High school, I never changed high schools. I had three different coaches in high school as well. AAU, three different coaches. Like I had a lot of coaches in AAU, but I'm kind of just used to just staying. And I think leaving now, it's just telling me. Well, first it was time to go, and second, you don't have to stay. You know what I'm saying? There's always a better opportunity somewhere, and I think I deserve it to myself to finally take that.
Yeah. And I think you're coming to a great place, like you said. And I'll say this just on the nature part. It is on the water. The campus itself isn't on the water. You have to drive about 10 to 15 minutes. But right now I'm in a house that is not directly on the water, but it's a walk down the street from the beach. So you're definitely coming to the Ocean State. It's a nice spot to come to. A lot of players find that appealing, and they want to come to Rhode Island. And as for the facilities go, we have a new practice gym that I'm sure you've heard about that's coming, and I haven't had the chance to check it out myself, but it looks pretty great from the pictures and videos that I've seen, and I'm sure you'll definitely be looking forward to taking advantage of that, and as well as the other facilities, the Ryan Center and everything else next season, and the coaching staff. I mean, from me getting to know them through media, can't speak nothing but great things about Coach Reiss and everything else, as well as your future teammates. So I think you're coming to a really great spot. Just two more questions for you. I know Coach Reiss, like we said, has been recruiting you for a while since you were in high school. Does it feel even sweeter now you can finally call her your coach?
Yeah, full circle moment for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine
I
that.
mean, I always thought of her as a coach, my coach anyways. So yeah.
Yeah. And now it'll be nice to kind of have her by your side rather than just, she's in Rhode Island, you're in Syracuse, checking in and catching up every once in a while. You can finally just lean on her and rely on her, when, in game situations on and off the court. She's a great mentor. And again, what she's doing with this program has been unbelievable for the fans, for the community, and I'm sure for her players as well. So it's definitely, in my mind, I think it's a good fit. Part of the reason why I wanted to reach out. One more question for you. Just looking ahead to this next season, can you just tell the Rhody fans, what they're getting, what they can expect from Teisha Hyman, and what they can expect from the Rhode Island Rams next season?
Of course. Hey, Rhody fans. You can expect a great person. I feel like that's one of my strengths is my person. And basketball wise, you'll get a lot of buckets. You'll get a teammate, a great teammate, and leadership. I'm gonna say it. Conference title, that's one, and a trip to the NCAA. Quote me. You can quote me.
There you go. We'll come back, a year from now, and we'll do another interview. I'll have to follow up with you when it's all said and done. But Teisha, thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon. Best of luck to you and the program next season. I'm excited to follow along on this journey, next season. And of course, go Rhody.
Thank you. Go Rhodys.
Thank you.
No problem.